just talking to some mountain bikers back there, and they were sharing an interesting perspective that I hadn't thought of. You know, they're talking about like the trail maintenance, and you know how like it gets overgrown on the sides of the trail, like lots of weeds, and sometimes you get some thistles and stuff. A lot of the thistles are coming from horses, because the horses are eating thistles and crap down in the valleys, and then the guys come up here with their horses, and the horses crap on the side of the trail, and boom, now you got thistles in places that you never used to have thistles. Anyway, but an interesting perspective I hadn't thought of is, they're like, well, look at how you're dressed. The mountain bikers are, look at how you're dressed. You got all this gear on, and the dude's sitting there in spandex shorts and a spandex top, and he's like, so I feel the foliage and the overgrowth a lot more than you do, which is true. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, yeah, we are. I look more like we look more like we're dressed for the part, like we're coming into the backwoods. You guys are in spandex, and I get it. I know it's because you're so hot, you're doing so much cardio, but in a lot of ways, they're not really dressed appropriately for the outdoors. I don't want to like upset anybody, but I'm just kind of laughing about it. I get it. I might be wearing spandex, you know, if I was them two doing what they're doing, but the truth is I'm wearing some pretty protective gear here to protect me from a lot of the crap, the elements for one, and then the rocks and the roots and the trees and the branches and the thistles. All the gear that I'm wearing is, you know, to protect me against all of that stuff. Whereas the mountain bikers, they're dressed a lot lighter, much lighter, you know, so they have a, man, look at that peak, dude. That is magnificent. Got a little squirrely here at the back end. It's starting to get into that dust where I can't see. So Tyler up there is on a 2015 300XC. He's got 2014 plastics on it, and he's put a headlight on it. So I'm like, what year bike is this? A 14? And he's like, no, it's actually a 15. So he's got it disguised. It looks like a 2014 300XCW, because it's got the headlight from an XCW on it, and the plastic from 2014 350 XCF, but it's the 2015 XC, the 300 XC. So it's kind of funny because you can swap a lot of parts on these bikes. You know, there's a lot of things that will swap from bike to bike, 2-stroke to 4-stroke. You know, plastics, radiators, all that kind of stuff. If you're sticking with, you know, if you stick with one brand, so that's kind of fun. You can mix and match your bike up a little bit. So getting into a little bit more technical sweet stuff with roots and rocks here. Some tight switchbacks as we go down this thing. This is the kind of stuff that I love. He said that there's a spot up here that he dented the pipe even on a 350 on a 4-stroke. So it's one thing to dent your pipe, you know, with rocks and roots when you're on a 2-stroke, because you got that big old wide pipe out there.
This is where I dented it.
Oh, nice.
Picture line good.
He said this is where he dented his pipe on his 4-stroke. Of course, now I can't see. Oh, yeah, we're good. Morning. Hello. dog up here. That's fun. Fun stuff. It's beautiful up here though. Up in the northern Utah mountains. Location undisclosed. Some of you will be able to recognize where we are, some of you won't. That's okay. Part of the rite of passage is learning where trails are. Talking to the locals, figuring stuff out, making new friends, kind of showing each other some areas. Networking a little bit. It's funny, we were just down in a parking lot down there, and a couple of guys were talking to us about the bikes and stuff and the trails up here, and then older gentleman, and he's like, are these 2-strokes or 4-strokes? Because he couldn't, obviously he's not been around him for a little while, and he wasn't looking at the pipe. And we're like, oh, they're 2-strokes. And he's like, hey, when you leave, I'm gonna smell your 2-stroke exhaust. I love that. So like, all right, buddy. So we left, and he was wafting in the 2-stroke exhaust. Oh man, the people you meet makes you laugh sometimes. I know some people are like that. They like the 2-stroke exhaust. It's like a perfume to them, you know. Takes them back to the good old days or whatever of their racing career or something. Because the funny thing is, a lot of kids, you know, if you're 15, 16 and under, even 20 and under, you haven't really, in your head, you think that everything was always 4-stroke. You weren't around, people haven't been racing 2-strokes as much in your lifetime if you're under 20. And so, you know, the older generation, they all get it. They all get the 2-stroke thing because that's what they were all riding and racing back in the day. Younger kids think it's all about 4-strokes. Well, 4-strokes have their virtues. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot, but man, when it gets tight, gnarly, tricky, these big bore 2-strokes are just flipping insane. You just can't beat them. But so many of the younger, you know, so much of the younger generation has no idea, no familiarity with the 2-strokes to speak of. We've seen a lot of hikers today. More hikers than I have ever seen. Then again, I usually don't come to I usually don't come to busy places on the weekends. But that was just the deal. I'm going to, we got boating season here in full swing, and my family wants to get out, go to the lake.